The world is ruled by a powerful secretive few. These secretive few are some well-renowned families. They are well known as mysterious cabals that occupy virtually every seat of power, from the corridors of government to the boardrooms of Wall Street, in your school, church, workplace. They are about everywhere. They make the laws and they break them. They are the voice of your king, your queen, your prince, your princess, your president, your prime minister, and your government officials. I guess you are saying this is just another conspiracy theory. Well, watch and do the maths, and you will see for your own self. Welcome to another eye-opening hope. Today we'll be looking at the topic, the world shadow government. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, click the notification bell so you won't miss any of my upload as I upload video every week, and feel free to click the like button, share and comment because your voice makes a difference. Many may be surprised that the Bible made it clear here that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Job 9:24. This wicked is referring to Satan, for it is Satan's plan to offer to men the kingdoms of the world, if they will yield to him the supremacy. Many do this and sacrifice heaven. So these men were granted power and riches because they give him homage and carrying out his plan of destruction upon the human race. If he can tempt Jesus to worship him, and that he'll give him the world and the glory of it, don't put it far from him to do the same with you if he find that you are very influential. The Bible even go to the point of saying that the devil is the god of this world, 2 Corinthians 4 verse 4, meaning he has more influence and control over the majority of people in the world than our creator, because our sinful nature is more bent to evil than good. For the whole world lie in wickedness, 1 John 5:19. So don't be surprised to what the followers of the devil will stoop to do secretly. That is why the real political power resides not with publicly elected representatives, but with these private individuals who are exercising power beyond the scenes, beyond the scrutiny of democratic institutions. The official elected government is subservient to the shadow government, which is the true executive power. Some of the groups constituting the shadow government are central and federal reserve banks, Freemasons, intelligence agencies, think tanks, organized Jewry, the Vatican, secret societies, Jesuits, money-eyed interests, globalist elites, and supranational organizations who seek to manipulate policy in their own interests or in order to serve a larger agenda that is hidden from the general public. As John D. Rockefeller once said, and I quote, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." So they don't want us to think, only work ourselves to death. That's the thought of a typical slave driver. And as the Bible says, O generation of vipers, how can ye being evil speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Matthew 12:34, 35, and 37. The point is, The rulers of our country is being led by others, and the people are just following, for the government don't want an intelligent population, because people who can think critically can't be ruled by them and their dogmas and regime. That is why they want a public just smart enough to pay taxes and dumb enough to keep voting. No wonder why the Bible stated like this. Can the blind lead the blind? Shall they not both fall into the ditch? Luke 6:39. And that is what is happening. The people are being destroyed because of lack of knowledge, and because they have no vision, they are perishing. But am I the only one who knows that there is a shadow government that runs the world? No, I am not the only one. There are many critical thinkers out there. You who are watching may be one of them, but let us see what others have to say about this shadow government. John Hyland, the mayor of New York City, stated like this from the year 1922, and I quote, "The real menace of our republic is the invisible government, which like a giant octopus sprawls its slimy legs over our cities, states, and nation." Also from the platform of President Progressive Bull Moose Party, Theodore Roosevelt said this, and I quote, "Behind the ostensible government sits enthroned an invisible government, owing no allegiance and acknowledging no responsibility to the people." Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, writing in his influential 1928 book Propaganda, said this, and I quote, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of." Rand Paul, a former U.S. representative, said this in November 2016, and I quote, "But quite frankly, there is an outside source which we refer to as the deep state or the shadow government. There is a lot of influence by people which are actually more powerful than our government itself, our president. So the whole world is under a deep state, a fifth column power behind the throne, a smoke-filled room, a new world order, and a puppet regime government." Let me break it down. Deep state means there is collusion and cronyism exists within a political system, and it constitutes a hidden government within the legitimately elected government, who are effectively able to govern a country without reference to the consent of the governed as expressed through the formal political process. Also, you have a fifth column, and a fifth column is a group of people who undermine a larger group from within, meaning there is a group of families that direct the larger groups, which is the government from within, dictating how they should run the country. The phrase "power behind the throne" refers to a person or group that informally exercises the real power of a high-ranking office, such as a head of state or politics. It most commonly refers to a relative aide or nominal subordinate of a political leader, often called figureheads, who serve as de facto leaders, setting policy through possessing great influence and skillful manipulation. You also have the smoke-filled room, sometimes called a smoke-filled back room, is a secret political gathering or roundtable style decision-making process. The phrase is generally used to suggest an inner circle of power brokers, as at a convention it suggests a powerful cabal. You also have a puppet state. A puppet state regime or puppet government is a state that is de jure independent but de facto completely dependent upon an outside power and completely submits to their orders. Puppet state have nominal sovereignty, but a foreign or otherwise alien power effectively exercise control for a reason such as financial interest, economic or military support. Puppet states are distinguished from allies in that allies choose their actions on their own or in accordance with treaties. They voluntarily entered. A puppet state preserves the external paraphernalia of independence, such as a name flag, anthem, constitution, law codes, motto, and government, but in reality is an organ of another state which created, sponsors, or otherwise controls the government of the puppet state. A new world order is, as we know, a secret power elite with a globalist agenda, is conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian world government, which will replace sovereign nation states and an all-encompassing propaganda whose ideology hails the establishment of the New World Order as a culmination of history's progress. Many influential historical and contemporary figures have therefore been a part of a cabal that operates through many front organizations to orchestrate significant political and financial events, ranging from causing systematic crisis to pushing through controversial policies at both national and international levels as steps in ongoing plot to achieve world domination. Here are evidence from the horse's own quotation. In 1815, Nathan Rothschild made this famous statement, and I quote, "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls the British money supply controls the British empire, and I control the British money supply." So he's saying right there that he controls the British empire. Many even say that he didn't make this statement, and there is no way he would say it in the open if he holds such great power. But I don't think I want it more clear than that. He even goes further to say, and I quote, "Who controls the issuance of money controls the government." Mayor Amschel Rothschild also say this, and I quote, "Let us control the money of a country, and we care not who make its laws." Derek Wilson even say, and I quote, "Lord Rothschild had access to all manner of leaders and experts. He was responsible only to Prime Minister and answerable to neither the electorate for nor the civil service chief. These shadow governments are well feared because if a king, a queen, a prince, a princess, a president, and a prime minister try to alert the people of what is going on or step out of line, they are doomed. No wonder why Lincoln warning about Jesuit infiltration and papal power still ring true today. Inquisition coming to US, but are people listening? President Abraham Lincoln was right on the money when he warned Americans about Vatican intrigue and Jesuit infiltration into all facets of US life. Many patriots during the 18th century felt the same way as Lincoln, including inventor of the Morse code, Samuel Morse. However, like JFK, their warnings now have been silenced, and if the truth be known and hidden history revealed, we will find the Vatican and Jesuit behind the assassinations of President Andrew Jackson, President Harrison, President Taylor, President Lincoln, and President J.F. Kennedy. For what all these presidents had in common, including President Buchanan, who was poisoned but survived, was the fact that they all exposed the Vatican and Jesuit for trying to overthrow the American Republic. This is from a president. 5 attempts of assassination failed but became successful after a while, President Abraham Lincoln, and he stated this: "This civil war would never have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest son. Though there were great differences of opinion between the South and the North on the question of slavery, neither Jeff Davis nor any one of the leading men of the Confederacy could have dared to attack the North had they not relied on the promises of the Jesuits that under the mask of democracy, the money and the arms of Roman Catholic, even the arms of France were at their disposal if they would attack us. I pity the priests, the bishops and monks of Rome in United States when the people realize that they are in great part responsible for the tears and the bloodshed in this war. I conceal what I know on that subject from the knowledge of the nation, for if the people knew the whole truth, this war would turn into a religious war, and it would at once take a tenfold more savage and bloody character. It will become merciless as all religious wars are. It will become a war of extermination on both sides. The Protestants of both the North and the South would surely unite to exterminate the priests and the Jesuit. If they could hear what Professor Morse has said to me of the plots made in very city of Rome to destroy this republic, and if they could learn how the priests, the nuns, and the monks which daily land on our shores under the pretext of preaching their religion, instructing the people in their school, taking care of the sick in the hospitals, are nothing else but the emissaries of the Pope, of Napoleon, and the other despots of Europe to undermine our institution, alienate the heart of our people from our constitution and our laws, destroy our schools, and prepare a reign of anarchy here as they have done in Ireland, in Mexico, in Spain, and wherever there are any people who want to be free. Is it not absurdity to give to a man a thing which he is sworn to hate, curse, and destroy? And does not the Church of Rome hate, curse, and destroy liberty of conscience whenever she can do it safely? I am for a liberty of conscience in its noblest, broadest, highest sense, but I cannot give liberty of conscience to the Pope and to his followers, the Papists, so long as they tell me through all their councils, theologians, and canon laws that their conscience ordered them to bomb my wife, strangle my children, cut my throat when they find their opportunity. This does not seem to be understood by the people today, but sooner or later the light of common sense will make it clear to everyone that no liberty of conscience can be granted to men who are sworn to obey a pope, who pretend to have the right to put death to those who differ from him in religion. But could this be the speech that got President J.F. Kennedy assassinated?
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence and the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it.
Let me say this. It is proven over and over again that every time a president speaks against the shadow government regime, they are assassinated. But just remember this. If your country is always borrowing from the central bank, the Federal Reserve, and the IMF to drive the economy, don't you think there is something at stakes? Here is the principle of the Bible, which is never wrong. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is the servant to the lender. Proverbs 22 verse 7. This is the state that the whole world is in. And the Bible also stated like this: Thou shalt not wrest judgment, thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. Deuteronomy 16 verse 19. And this is definitely what is happening now in the world. Our elected government are very secretive in what they do, and they have to compromise with the shadow government evil schemes. They exercise partiality and they govern upon oppression. They have not the love and fear of God, neither do they have any love for their people. For there is no equality, no oneness, no joy, and no peace in their rule. But the government of God knows no compromise with evil and have no place for partiality. It is not built up on oppression, but on supreme love to God, impartial love for one another, equality, oneness, joy, and peace with all men. Which one of these governments would you want to be a part of? The choice is up to you. Choose today who you may serve. It was once more another eye-opening hope. Thank you for watching. Peace.